Hey friends, welcome back to more Reddit stories about entitled people, crazy people, and everything in between. Hope you're all doing awesome today. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't yet, and let's get right into it. The time we housed a goddamn psychopath. Pardon if I misuse some terms, English is not my first language. Alright, so first time poster. But I just gotta share this because it's been the one story I share with people whenever they ask me about the craziest things I've seen working in the hotel industry. Been in hotels for around 3 to 4 years now, mainly as an auditor. So first hotel I got in also happened to be the largest and oldest hotel in my hometown. And for the outside viewer or guest, it probably seemed like a paradise. It had around 120 plus rooms, a pool area, sauna, gym, all that jazz. It was kinda fancy, so to speak. Only just kinda though. One day we housed a male guest, 30-ish something years old, looks like a businessman. Well-spoken, seems very calm and polite, and generally doesn't appear to be the kind to cause trouble over nothing. It's an extended stay, around 7 to 8 days, and for the most part the stay goes well. He pays his 7 to 8 days and doesn't really have any complaints. Even compliments the staff and the luxuries the hotel offers. Cool dude, right? So the stay goes by and it's the day he's supposed to check out. It so happens to be an important holiday here in my country as well. And since the hotel was kinda like a resort, we were fully booked by a group of people that wanted to use the pool area, and etc., to throw a small party, so to speak. So it was bound to be a busy day. I was working the front desk at the time, morning shift, and our star guest comes by. I expect him to hand me the keys so I can check him out, but instead he comes over and says something along the lines of, "Sorry, I know I'm supposed to leave today, but I'll actually have to stay the holiday due to work." Now, he did not ask us prior if we would have vacancy for the holiday. He simply assumed that we would. I politely tell him that unfortunately we are fully booked, and that at the moment there is no possibility to extend his stay. The moment I explain that to him, his demeanor switches. Now he's questioning what exactly I mean, that we can't kick him out, and that he demands that we cancel another booking so we can keep him there. Obviously, there is no way I can do that, so I tell him he can use the hotel area for the day if necessary, and that if someone cancels, we'll let him know. But he, who's pretty worked up at this point, simply goes, "No, it's fine, I'll pack my stuff and leave right now." He storms back to his room and I'm just standing there just thinking, well, never judge a book by its cover, I guess. Little did I know that would be the understatement of the century. After about 20 minutes or so, he comes back, slams the key on the counter, says goodbye, and leaves in a hurry. Now, he had already paid, so I didn't really care. I was just glad this a-hole was leaving. So I got back to my work, but after about 5 minutes, I hear one of the housekeepers scream from the corridor. Oh my god. I'm startled and run over to see what's going on. So does some of the other housekeepers. She's standing by the room that same guest was in, freaking out, and when I go to look inside, the goddamn mattress is on fire. One of the housekeepers quickly goes to the fire extinguisher and we deal with the situation. After the literal smoke settles, we also realize that this absolute maniac also took the time to smear crap all over the walls before running off. I kid you not. To this day, I don't know if that a-hole ever faced any repercussions for what he did, but that day I learned a valuable lesson I still carry with me to this day. Guests can be f***ing terrifying. Homeless cooking in public always leads to trouble. I am homeless. I was in Toronto, but I have since moved on to Niagara Falls. I just want to say Niagara has been great to me. In the week I have been here, I've had half a dozen job interviews and have second interviews set up for next week. Also, the people here are generally decent and treat you like a human, unlike Toronto where you're treated poorly no matter where you go. That being said, I don't know why there's always that one person who sees you cooking or preparing a meal in public and takes it as a huge offense. I was in the downtown area of the Falls. I have a friend, Susan, who works in one of the hotels. She let me do some laundry and grab a shower. She's a great older lady. I did all that and was heading back to where I set up for the night in a secluded spot in the woods. The trip takes about 2 hours walking from the downtown area. It has been a long day of walking and I was getting really hungry. I keep some food stuff in my bag. I can't really justify spending $3 to $5 on cheap crappy food at McDonald's or other fast food. I need to save what I have. For that price, I can get more nutrition, a bigger, more filling meal, if I just take a few minutes to cook or heat up my own food. And that's what I did. I set up under a tree in an empty parquet, got under my umbrella and set up my alcohol stove. I started cooking my rice and beans. It was raining. Hell, it still is, but I'm warm, set up at camp. But I don't get it. Even on a crappy rainy day, that one person who is going to be a jerk to you for cooking out in the open seems to just find you. A man walking his dog on the other side of the park noticed me. He made eye contact as he saw me looking at the flame of my small camp stove. The guy approached me, and unfortunately he had no kind words. He yelled at me when he got close. He didn't even wait a second. He yelled, screaming that I could burn the park down. It's a cheap alcohol stove. It's not burning anything down, it can barely boil water. In response, I calmly said, "Hey there, bud. I'm making beans. If you're hungry, I can share. I don't mind. I get angry too when I'm hungry." That seemed to make him stutter. He changed his tone and started yelling that I can't stay here, I can't camp in the park. I just replied, "Oh, okay. This is your spot. Where do you camp, bud?" He yelled like a child, saying, "I'm not homeless." I looked him dead in the eyes, put on a big smile, and said, "Oh, really? I didn't know." I told him my beans were done, reached into my bag to grab my spoons, and tried to hand him one, saying, "It's time to eat." The guy was confused. His face turned red in total embarrassment. He walked away, shouting about this not being a place to stay, blah blah blah. Something I've learned when dealing with difficult people out here. Don't get mad, don't try to kill them with kindness. Just act like a big old dopey dumbass with a big smile on your face. It confuses them so much they don't know how to react. I've had too many interactions with jerks, and it can be funny sometimes. A few things I need to say. Yes, I have a cell phone, and yes, I have a phone plan. I've had this phone for over a year, long before I became homeless. A phone plan costs around $20 a month and is a necessity when looking for work. No, I didn't record it. My phone was wrapped in a cloth in a Ziploc bag in my larger backpack. Why? I can't afford to replace it, so I keep it safe from damage, both physical and water-related. How did I become homeless? No, I don't do drugs, and I don't drink. It was due to a medical issue and a bad divorce. Now my credit is shot. Why don't I stay in a shelter? They are dangerous, and they are also full. Shelters turn away over 200 people a day. And unless you're an addict or in immediate danger of abuse, you're super low on the priority list. Quote, get a job, unquote. I'm trying. I've had a lot of interviews this week. Yeah, that's gotta be a pretty rough thing about being homeless. One of the many things is the fact that they probably get harassed constantly while they're just trying to live. I mean, you gotta eat somewhere and you gotta sleep somewhere, right? And then there's even cities that'll put up those anti-homeless spikes to try to stop them from sleeping in certain places. As if it's gonna make these people magically disappear and not just, you know, sleep somewhere else. Tear open our driveway to pour concrete? Fine, you'll probably enjoy having to dig the concrete out of the ground. Twice. Not about me, but about a guy I used to work with. He was a mountain of a guy, a huge Turk, but the kindest guy I ever met. He'd do anything for people he liked. Nobody ever saw anybody get on his bad side until that fateful day. As it happens, he was also our delivery driver, and he spent most days on the road in his semi, leaving before dawn and returning quite late, if at all that day. Our warehouse had a driveway large enough for him to pull the semi into and load/unload. The supermarket next door decided to do some renovations and expand. When they started construction, they started tearing out their brick parking lot and getting close to tearing out our driveway. Boss runs out and tells them where our property line is, and is assured they won't cross onto our property. Everybody goes back inside, nobody worries, until there's suddenly a raging bear Turk standing in the break room, shouting about how the driveway has been torn up and he can't get his lorry in. We go out and indeed the driveway is half missing, and there's a concrete building foundation poured in. Construction workers are nowhere in sight. Boss sends the supermarket manager an email message and everybody goes home. Next day we arrive to the site of very angry construction workers. Apparently, the delivery driver went back in the middle of the night with some bolt cutters, liberated about 30 of their shopping carts, and stuck them into the drying concrete in various comical positions. Overnight, the concrete hardened and the carts became quite difficult to remove. Construction crew brings in the jackhammers, and 4 days later most of the concrete is gone, and they start preparing for another pour, this time leaving our driveway intact. Foundation comes out fine, everything is looking good. At that time, my boss shows up with the announcement that he had a survey done, and while they didn't tear open our driveway the second time, they were still closer to our property line than allowed. and he'd already filed a complaint to get the concrete removed. Took them another week of jackhammering to get it out. Am I the a-hole for asking a couple to stop changing their baby's diaper in the middle of a plane? I, 28 female, was on a flight for several hours today, seated behind a couple with a baby. I'm a really nauseous flyer, so I took a Dramamine ahead of time and did my best to get some sleep during the flight. This didn't happen because of the baby's crying, but oh well. I know flights are scary and stressful for infants, and there was nothing anyone could do about that. What got to me was the couple changing their baby's extremely stinky number 2 diaper right in the middle of their seats, using the mom's food tray as a changing table. We were at the back of the plane right by the bathrooms, which I confirmed had baby changing tables when I had to go back there to throw up after the smell hit me. I didn't say anything the first time, but the second time I heard them go into the diaper bag a couple hours later, I asked if they could please go use the plane bathroom instead of exposing everyone on the plane to the smell. The mom went off on me and said I had no idea how stressful it is to travel with an infant. Which is true, I don't have kids. The flight attendant at the back of the plane agreed with me and asked them to only use the bathrooms to change their baby. Plus, a few minutes later, the pilot made an announcement that all diaper changing needed to be done in the bathrooms, after which both parents looked extremely annoyed. Am I the a-hole for asking them to stop changing their baby in the middle of the plane and inadvertently bringing it to the attention of the flight crew? Well, obviously you're not the a-hole here, OP. It's pretty crazy how some parents can even think that there's nothing wrong with what they're doing. I mean, the changing tables are in the bathrooms for a reason. And just saying you have no idea how stressful it is to be a parent is not an excuse to not just stand up and walk to the bathroom. Anyway guys, that's all for today. Thank you for watching. Be sure to drop a like on the video and subscribe if you haven't already. So have an awesome day, friends, and I'll see you next time.